Things go wrong. We're talking cyber attacks, supply chain chaos, natural disasters, the list goes on. So how do the world's most resilient organizations get ready for this stuff? How do they not just face it, but actually survive and even thrive? Well, they use a playbook. And today we're going to demystify that exact playbook, ISO 22301. Okay, let's just start with a really direct question. Think about where you work. If a critical system just stopped for a whole week, what would happen? For real, would the lights still be on a month later? It's a pretty sobering thought, and it's the whole reason the standard even exists. So when we say disruption, what are we actually talking about? Well, the standard is pretty clear. It's any incident, whether you see it coming a mile away or it comes completely out of the blue, that just stops your business in its tracks. It's that moment where everything just grinds to a halt. And the answer to that disruption is this concept, business continuity. Now, listen to the words here. They're really specific. It's not about bouncing back eventually. It's about continuing to deliver within acceptable timeframes and at a predefined capacity. In other words, it's all about having a solid plan. And that plan has a name. It's called a Business Continuity Management System, or a BCMS for short. And the international gold standard for building one? That's ISO 22301. This is the framework that companies all over the globe use to build real, lasting resilience. So what is it, really? Well, it's definitely not some checklist you finish once and then shove in a drawer to collect dust. The whole standard is built around this dynamic cycle of always getting better. And that cycle is called Plan, Do, Check, Act. It's a simple but incredibly powerful loop for building your system, keeping it running, and most importantly, making it better over time. Let's walk through what each of these steps actually means. All right, first up is the plan. This is where you lay all the groundwork for everything else. It's about really deeply understanding your organization before you can even think about protecting it. In this phase, you are literally building the foundation. This means getting a handle on your organization's unique situation and setting super clear goals for continuity. But here's the big one. You have to get leadership on board. Seriously, without commitment from the top, the plan is just a document. This is also where you look at risks to the management system itself and figure out what resources you're going to need to pull this all off. Okay, next up is the do phase. This is where the rubber meets the road. Your plan becomes action, and you get into the real nuts and bolts of what business continuity is all about. And it all starts with something called a business impact analysis, or a BIA. The best way to think about this is like triage for your business. The whole point is to figure out which parts of your operation are absolutely essential. If you had to choose what has to keep running, no matter what, and how fast does it need to be back up? So once you know what's most critical, you do a risk assessment. This is where you pinpoint the specific threats that could actually mess with those critical activities. We're talking a power outage, a key supplier going under, a critical employee getting sick. What could actually stop you? And to guard against those risks, you have to think about your resources. And look, it's not just about your servers and your software. It's about your people, your data, your buildings, your suppliers, even your access to cash. The standard forces you to think about all of these moving parts to build a truly robust plan. So you have a plan, it looks great on paper, but how in the world do you know if it'll actually work when things get real? Well, that brings us to step 3, the check. This is the reality test. And checking isn't just a casual glance. ISO 22301 demands a structured approach. You have to run exercises and drills. You conduct internal audits to make sure you're following your own rules. You monitor performance. And you hold regular reviews with management to really take the temperature of the whole system. A great way to think about this whole exercise program is right here. It's a fire drill for your entire business, right? You don't wait for an actual fire to see if the alarms work or if people know where the exits are. You practice so that when it matters, you're ready. And finally, that brings us to the act phase. This is what closes the loop. See, business continuity isn't a one-and-done project. It's a living, breathing part of your organization that has to keep evolving. So the whole point here is continual improvement. You take everything you learned from your audits, from your drills, from any real incidents that happened, and you use that knowledge to fix what's broken, close the gaps, and make your entire system that much stronger for the next time. Phew, okay. We've gone through the whole cycle, but let's be honest, it sounds like a lot of work. So why go through all this trouble? Let's talk about the payoff, because the benefits are actually pretty incredible. First, let's just zoom out and look at this from a high-level strategic business perspective. A solid continuity plan isn't just playing defense, it's smart offense. I mean, think about it. It can give you a huge competitive advantage. When a disruption hits your whole industry, you can be the one still operating while everyone else is scrambling. That protects your reputation like nothing else and builds this deep, powerful resilience throughout your entire organization. And of course, it also comes down to the bottom line. So let's look at the financial angle. This part is super straightforward, but so powerful. By getting prepared, you lower your risk of getting hit with regulatory fines or lawsuits, and you massively cut the costs, both the obvious ones and the hidden ones that come from any kind of unplanned downtime. And finally, this isn't just about the company. It's about the people you serve, the people who work for you, and the community you're a part of. Basically, everyone who depends on you. And honestly, this might be the biggest payoff of all. At its very core, business continuity is about protecting people, property, and the environment. It gives your customers and your partners real confidence that you can make it through tough times because it shows you've taken a hard, honest look at your weaknesses and done something about them. So, we'll leave you with this thought. Every single organization out there has a plan to succeed. They have a plan to grow, a plan to hit their targets, but the real question, the one that ISO 22301 forces all of us to ask, is much more fundamental. Do you have a plan to survive,